She notices you before you notice her. In that first fleeting glance, before a single word is exchanged, a profound and ancient process has already begun. It is not a conscious checklist, not a cynical appraisal of your worth. It is something far more primal, far more immediate. And for a man over 60, understanding its mechanics is not about vanity. It is about understanding the language of presence itself. We are told that romance in later life is simpler, that the games are over and people speak plainly. This is a comforting myth. The truth is far more subtle. The human animal, regardless of age, is wired for rapid, unconscious assessment. And for a woman, that assessment begins with a geography of subtle signals. It begins with your body, but not in the way a 20-year-old might assess it. The landscape has changed. The markers are different. What she is looking for now is not the peak of physical prowess, but the evidence of a life well lived. A life of resilience, of humor, of quiet strength. And she finds this evidence in 5 specific places. The first thing she notices, almost involuntarily, is the skin around your eyes. This is not about crow's feet or wrinkles. Those are simply the topography of a life. It is about what lies beneath them. It is about the eyes themselves and the quality of the land that surrounds them. She is looking, with a precision that would shame a diamond cutter, for the presence of light. Specifically, she is looking for what psychologists call the Duchem marker, the involuntary crinkling that signifies a genuine, felt smile, as opposed to a posed, social one. In a single moment of greeting, she will register whether the muscles around your eyes engage. If they do, if they soften and crinkle, she receives a subconscious message of warmth, of approachability, of safety. But if the skin remains static, if the smile is only a movement of the mouth, a chill runs down the ancient pathways of her intuition. It signals a disconnect, a guardedness, a potential for deception. Think of it as reading the fine print of a contract in a language you don't consciously speak, but understand perfectly. This small patch of skin, no larger than a postage stamp, is broadcasting the fundamental nature of your interaction with the world. Is it one of genuine engagement or of careful performance? After 60, we have all learned to perform, but she is looking for the man who has forgotten how. She is looking for the man whose eyes still light up, whose skin still remembers the joy of a genuine laugh. This is the first and most powerful filter, and it has nothing to do with how handsome you are. And this leads, almost inevitably, to the second point of focus, your hands. Now, we must be very careful here. This is not about manicured nails or the absence of age spots. Those are superficial. She is looking at your hands the way an archaeologist looks at an ancient tool. She is reading their history. She is observing the way they hold a glass, the way they rest on a table, the way they gesture as you speak. Are they still and confident, or are they fidgeting with a napkin, betraying a current of anxiety? But it goes deeper than that. She is looking at the evidence of a lifetime of doing. Are they the hands of a man who has worked with them? Not necessarily manual labor, but the broader definition of work. Hands that have built a bookshelf, held a child, turned the pages of 1,000 books, gripped a steering wheel on a long journey, or simply been raised in a toast with old friends. She is looking for the marks of engagement with the physical world. Smooth, untouched hands that have avoided all contact with life's textures send a subtle but potent signal. This is a man who has remained a spectator. The slight callus, the prominent vein, the solid grip when he shakes her hand. These are not relics of the past, but proof of a continued, tangible presence in the world. They speak of capability, of a man who can still handle what life puts in front of him. There is a profound psychological safety in that. It is the quiet reassurance that when something needs to be done or held or fixed, these hands will know how. They are not just hands. They are a resume of lived experience. But here's what most people don't realize, and it is the pivot point upon which everything else turns. The third area of focus is completely invisible to the man himself. It is his posture, but not in the way you think. It is not about standing up straight to look taller or more authoritative. That is a conscious performance, and it is easily detected. She is observing your posture and motion. Specifically, she is watching the alignment of your head with your spine as you move through the world. When a man walks into a room, his head might lead the way, thrust forward, straining towards the future. Or it might hang slightly, weighted by the past. But the man who walks with his head balanced gracefully atop his spine, whether he is 6'2" or 5'7", broadcasts a signal of profound integration. This alignment is the physical manifestation of dignity. It suggests a man who is not at war with himself, who is not leaning into life's pressures or being dragged down by them. He is simply with himself. This posture, or lack of it, tells her about his relationship to gravity, and by extension, his relationship to the weight of his own years. Does he fight it, stiffening against time until he is brittle? Or does he surrender to it, slumping into a resignation that is older than his years? The man with the balanced gait, the man whose body moves as one coherent unit, signals that he has made peace with his own weight. He is grounded, and groundedness, after a certain age, is perhaps the most magnetic quality a human being can possess. This sense of groundedness then leads her to the fourth area, a place of immense, quiet power, his shoulders. But again, we must discard the cliché. It is not about breadth. It is not about the muscular deltoid of a 25-year-old quarterback. It is about the line of the shoulders, the way they sit. Are they hunched forward, curved inwards as if protecting the chest from a blow? This is the universal posture of defensiveness, of a man who has been hurt and is bracing against the next impact. It speaks of a life of stored tension, of burdens carried too long and never set down. Conversely, are they thrown back, chest puffed out in a display of false bravado? This is the posture of the man who is still trying to prove something, whose identity is a fragile construction that might topple at any moment. She is looking for something else entirely. She is looking for shoulders that are back and down, broad not by gym equipment, but by the simple act of being open to the world. This is the posture of a man who has faced the storms and has not closed himself off. He is not braced for attack. He is open. His shoulders say, "I have nothing to hide, and I am not afraid of what is coming." It is the physical signature of a man who has learned that true strength is not in the rigid defense, but in the flexible, open stance that allows life to flow around him. It is the posture of a man who can be a refuge, not a fortress. And finally, the fifth area, the one that is noticed last, but remembered longest. It is his feet. Yes, his feet. This is not about their size, nor about the shoes he puts on them. It is about where they point. In the micro orchestra of human communication, the feet are the most honest instruments. We are trained to control our faces, to modulate our voices, to compose our hands. But our feet often betray our true intentions. When a man is engaged in conversation, genuinely interested and present, his feet will point directly towards the person he is speaking with. It is an unconscious act of orientation, of offering his full attention. But if his feet point towards the door or shift restlessly, angling for an exit, she will register this on a level far below conscious thought. She will feel that a part of him is already gone. For a man over 60, this takes on an even deeper resonance. The way he stands reveals his relationship with the ground beneath him. Does he shift his weight nervously from foot to foot, as if the earth itself were too hot to stand on? Or does he plant himself with a quiet solidity, his feet firmly connected to the present moment? The man who stands with his feet rooted, who occupies his space without apology and without aggression, sends a final, powerful message. He is here. He is not running from the past, not chasing the future. He is here, now, grounded in this moment with you. And in a world that is constantly pulling us in 1,000 different directions, that rooted presence is irresistible. So we have traveled from the micro expressions around his eyes, to the eloquent history in his hands, to the quiet dignity in his posture, to the open strength of his shoulders, and finally to the honest truth of his feet. 5 areas, all broadcasting a single, unified story. But here is the final twist, the deepest layer of this psychology. While she is unconsciously reading these signals, she is not judging them against a standard of youth. She is not looking for a man who defies time. She is looking for a man who has been shaped by time, but not broken by it. She is looking for the evidence that he has lived, that he has felt joy and sorrow, that he has worked and loved, and maybe even wept, and that all of this experience has sculpted him into something interesting. The untouched man, the one who has carefully preserved himself, is not intriguing. He is a blank page, the man who wears his years with a kind of grace, whose body is a map of his journey, is a story waiting to be read. The crow's feet are not flaws. They are the signature of a life filled with laughter. The weathered hands are not old. They are the proof of a life engaged. The slight stoop is not a weakness. It could be the memory of 1,000 times he bent down to listen. This is the great secret that eludes most men. The goal is not to erase the evidence of time. The goal is to ensure that the evidence tells a story she wants to be a part of. The practical takeaway from all of this is deceptively simple and impossibly difficult. It is not a list of exercises. It is an internal shift. The eyes will only truly smile when the heart is genuinely amused. The hands will only rest confidently when the mind is at peace. The posture will only straighten with dignity when the soul has stopped bowing to the opinions of others. The shoulders will only open when the chest no longer needs to be defended. The feet will only root when the man has finally decided to stay in his own life. It is not about fixing yourself for her inspection. It is about inhabiting yourself so fully that your body, in every line and gesture, can do nothing but tell the truth of who you are. And when a woman encounters that, when she reads that honest map on a man over 60, she is not just seeing a body, she is seeing a home. And the instinct to come home is the most powerful instinct of all.